Welcome to the Homeschool High School podcast, brought to you by Seven Sisters Homeschool.com and the Ultimate Homeschool Podcast Network. I'm Vicki, and I am so excited to have a new friend here who is doing awesome things. This is Bri from David's Tent, DC. So, David's Tent is part of YWAM's Youth with a Mission's work in DC, and it is doing such really cool stuff. And there are opportunities for young people related to YWAM, and also we want you to know about these things. So I'm so excited. I ran into the David's Tent folks at the Machi, Maryland Homeschool Conference. And I go like, they just need to come on the podcast. So y'all were so gracious to arrange your schedules to do this. So, all right. So, Bri from David's Tent, please tell us about yourself and a little bit about how you got connected with YWAM.
Absolutely. Vicki, thank you so much for having us. We're so excited. I was in college and I went on a week-long missions trip. I didn't know anything about Youth with a Mission at the time. I was studying to be a teacher. And so I got connected with YWAM in North Carolina and pretty immediately knew that I was called into YWAM. Ended up doing a discipleship training school in North Carolina and then a secondary leadership school. And when I was in my leadership school, we brought a youth team from North Carolina up to work with YWAM DC. And so it was the summer before the tent got started. So David's Tent wasn't going on yet. But that week really impacted my heart. And I remember distinctly leaving and just weeping as we left Washington, D.C. And I didn't feel called to leave Charlotte yet. But so I went back home, and years later, a friend of mine who was on staff with me in Charlotte moved full-time with David's Tent. And so I moved back to Pennsylvania. Years go by, we reconnect. I had followed David's Tent on social media, and the Lord had been putting it on my heart. But my friend and I reconnected, and she asked, like, have you ever thought about moving to DC? And I was like, yeah, actually, I think the Lord's calling me there. And so 3 or 4 months later, I moved to David's Tent, and I've been on full-time staff ever since.
And for those of you guys who are watching on video, you can see the Capitol Dome behind Bri. So where they are located in their offices are right smack in the middle of DC. It has to be a miracle. And then the work of David's Tent's right there on the mall. So let me pause for just a second. And for context, so if you're new to Youth with a Mission, YWAM has been important in the homeschool community because most of us homeschool moms love biographies, and most of your kids have probably read the Christian Heroes series. And a lot of us who are on the digital sphere in homeschooling have met the Benjes, especially Janet. And so we just are very, very heartwarmed about YWAM because of the biographies, but also some of the students that I have advised over the years have served with YWAM. And then, gone out and served and then went back home and launched careers of different kinds. So I have a lot of warm affection and in the homeschool community broadly. We love YWAM. And then when I found out about David's Tent at the conference, which is somehow the first time I heard of David's Tent, I go, oh my goodness. So anyway, so Bri, would you tell us what on earth David's Tent is and what y'all are doing in DC?
Yeah, absolutely. So David's Tent is a big white tent on the National Mall where we host worship 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year to Jesus. And so we kicked off in September of 2015. We are heading into our 11th year. And it's 24/7 worship day and night. It looks like different styles of worship. We have different local leaders come in, different churches, full-time staff as well. So there's different genres, but the constant is worship to Jesus all the time.
It just blesses my heart, and it's such a biblical concept to be praying. And I can remember back in the days of my youth doing 24-hour prayer at our local church, especially concerning our nation and praying for the needs of our country. And so you guys landed on the mall, the actual mall, mall in Washington, D.C., have a tent, and you've been doing this for a decade.
Yes, ma'am. Yep.
Yeah. So for those of you guys who are not DC locals, you may not have ever seen it. So it shows I haven't been to DC in a few years. Um, so tell us, let's say we got a homeschool family on a field trip, and
Absolutely.
they want to go see what's happening at David's TV tent when they're in DC. So where will they find y'all on the mall? And
Yeah.
are they allowed to just drop in and visit?
Yes, absolutely. We love people dropping in and visit. We're public on purpose. And so right now we are at 600 Madison Drive, between the Washington Monument and the Capitol Building. We'll be there until mid-July, and then we're moving back to 12th Street, also on the National Mall. And so we're on the main stretch. We move around a little bit depending on we're able to be on the mall through a National Park Service permit. And so they move us here and there every now and then. But till the end of the summer, we'll be at 600 Madison. And then after that, we'll be at 12th Street in Madison, right closer to the Washington Monument.
So they can just find you guys on the mall and just drop by and worship with you for a while?
Absolutely. Yeah. Anyone can come in at any time, pray, worship. If we have families that are musical and you want to lead worship, or if you aren't musical but you'd like to have a part in the worship with us, we have you can fill out an application online and we can get you worship leading with us while you're in town. You can set your own schedule for that. And again, for the ones that maybe are not worship leaders, we do something called a Bible revival. And so we play instrumental music in the background as the worship piece, and then have people read scripture as a prayer and declaration over our nation. And so you can fill out an application and lead either of those things with us while you're in town, or you can just stop by and worship with us anytime you want.
I did. That's homeschoolers doing some citizenship right there in a prayerful way. And you think about, like, if you're making a field trip to DC, why not stop by and do some prayer with folks who've been praying for a decade?
We would love to have you.
Yeah. So I'm springing this one on you, Bri, but sure. I was thinking about, what was it like for you, like on a day when you're just sitting in the tent? What is it like for you to experience that 24-hour prayer for a long, long time?
Yeah, the tent just has a really special atmosphere. I can testify to it. Other people who come in tell us, like, the atmosphere here is just so peaceful. And so our schedules look a little different every day and every week, but oftentimes we have 6-hour watches at a time where we'll be at the tent from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. And so getting to be there and have that extended time worshiping the Lord is really, really a gift. And we say David's tent has 3 main purposes. The first one is we just exist because Jesus is worthy of constant worship. Even if everything was going great in our nation, we would still be worshiping 24/7 because he is just worthy of it.
Yes.
The second reason is intercession for our nation and prayer for America. And it's such an honor to be able to minister to the Lord's heart, and also to really stand in the gap and have a piece in changing our nation for the kingdom. And then the third part is evangelism. So we're thankful to be in a public space where we've been able to minister to people from nations that we can't go to because they're closed to missionaries right now, but they're coming literally to our backyard. And so it's really a huge gift to just be able to be part of what the Lord is doing in our city and in our nation, but also beyond and in the nations through what he's doing here.
So kind of casting your bread on the waters in an unusual way there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Can you think right off the top of your head, again, I'm springing another question on you,
Sure.
of any stories of being there at the tent that really touched your heart, either, talking to someone or just those moments that were special to you?
Yeah. I'm just so touched. There's people who come in, and recently just a dad and a little daughter who came in and sat down, and we got to pray with them, and was just talking about how he was going through a hard time, and we just got to pray with him immediately. He just wandered in. But I think one of the other stories is 2 4th of Julys ago, we had a group of young adults here worshiping in the tent, and the 4th of July on the National Mall is like New Year's in New York City. It's huge. There's tons of people. It's a bustling place. And the tent was just filled with people. And there was a group of teenagers that rededicated their lives to Jesus, without promptings from adults. Just like we're a
Oh,
group of friends that came in together, and all of a sudden we're grouped up praying themselves,
oh,
really touched by the power of God. And then one of them, I believe, or it was another child that day, like went and got their parents and brought them back and was like brought them to the tent.
oh,
So that was a really special 4th of July for me, just to see youth really impacted by the Lord.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, thank you, for taking your time and the rest of you guys involved with David's tent to be there on the mall and to be in prayer and available when God's working on a young person's heart and says, I want to rededicate my life to the Lord.
It's a huge honor. It's a blessing to all of us, for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. All right, I'm going to shift gears a little bit because we are working with teenagers here, and they need part of high school is to have richness of experiences
Yes.
and to have times of service, because that's how we fulfill who God made us to be. So YWAM and David's Tent and the whole group, you guys, there's so much of YWAM that there is. So but you'll have some opportunities called missions adventures, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So, Mission Adventures is a short term mission program for youth groups. They come to DC, and again, it's usually about a week long. And it's a blending of faith based teaching, of evangelism and outreach in the city, and also of worship and prayer at David's Tent and different locations in the city as well. And so that goes from middle school all the way up to college. And we're just really excited to see how the Lord activates youth as youth. And we want to empower them of, you don't have to wait to be an adult to be a missionary. The Lord has actually given you keys into places. Like, we can't go to high schools every day. We can't, touch our peers and our co-ops and things like that, but you can right now. And so our heart really is to equip them in walking with intimacy with Jesus, to the highest level they can right now, and also give them a taste of mission and what that looks like now, and also what it can look like in their futures.
That is so like wonderful. And yeah. So all right, explain like if they're bringing their youth group
Yeah.
and they were going to help out, part of their time would be some training, and then there would be different things going on. So give kind of a little more detail on what that might look like for a team from a church or a homeschool co-op.
Sure. So we actually have two different opportunities. One of them is Mission Adventures, like we've talked about, and that's fully in DC.
Mhm.
And so that looks a little different depending on the group. We love to work with youth leaders to kind of mold those trips around what they know is best for their kids. And we're
Mhm.
like, we know you know your students more than we know your students. And so it's something of, if you really want to focus on evangelism, we can build that more in. If you really want to focus on worship and prayer, obviously that's our DNA. So we love hitting that. And we have so many opportunities just being in DC of, we get to do prayer walks around the Capitol and the Supreme Court, or we have Embassy Row, where there's more embassies in DC than any other city in the nation, and we can go and pray for 20 nations in an hour with them. And then obviously the piece of wanting to equip them to know how to study the Bible and spend quiet time with the Lord and hear his voice. And then we also so Mission Adventures usually happens in the summer, but we run that every year. Next year, we have a really special opportunity called Nuevo Fuego, and it's a youth intensive. It's about 2 weeks long, and that will be a couple days of training here in DC with us. It's for ages 14 through 18. And they will come and do team building and missions training here with us in DC, also worship and prayer, because it's who we are. And then we take them for about a week to Puerto Rico, and we partner with a local church there to do worship, prayer, outreach as a short-term mission trip. So Mission Adventures and Nuevo Fuego. Nuevo Fuego will be next June, are both really good ways for youth to get involved right now.
So especially our high schoolers who are studying
Yes.
Spanish right now, they can really
Absolutely. Send
use
them our
that for
way.
the Lord. Yeah. So, all right. All right. Now, I've been sitting here watching the wind blow the trees, and it goes back and forth in front of the Capitol Dome.
Yeah.
So I want to, do you have any idea how you guys manage to land offices where you have, like, you're that close prayerfully to our Capitol?
Yeah, so the short of it really is that we exist through miracles of God. The tent is allowed to be on the mall because of the First Amendment, so we are a freedom of speech event.
Mm-hmm.
The prayer room, we're at the American Center of Prayer and Revival right now. We're right behind, I don't know if you can see it. You can see the Capitol building, but the Supreme Court is also right behind us.
Wow.
And that really has been through the hand of God as well. Other ministries have had this building for years and years and years before us, and so through our connections with them, specifically Every Home for Christ owns this building and allows us to partner with them to host our 24-hour prayer room, different from the tent in this building. And so I unfortunately don't know all of the history, but it's a really long legacy of the faithfulness of God, specifically through Every Home for Christ.
Yeah, I mean, you can imagine all the corporate bigwigs who would like to get their hands on that building, and instead God has y'all there just praying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we are thankful for sure. And Second Street is the street that we are on, and there's multiple other Christian and faith-based organizations on this street as well. So we're thankful to see the Lord establishing His kingdom on such a central street to DC.
It really a central street. That
Yeah.
is really cool. Yeah. Okay. All right. So once again, give your soundbite about David's tent, so we have it very clear in people's
Yes,
minds about
absolutely.
your mission. Yes.
Yeah, so David's Tent is a 24-hour house of prayer, that we are fully committed to worshiping Jesus all day, every day of the year, simply because He's worthy of all of our praise.
And for families that would like to get involved, it may be, just sit and visit and listen to the prayer and the worship. They can come anytime.
Anytime, day or night,
And
3
if
p.m.
they
or 3 a.m., we'll be there.
That is so awesome. And if they'd like to sign up and do some Bible revival or
Yes.
some worship leading, how do they find the signups for that?
Sure, you can check that out at our website. It's davidstentdc.org.
And if they're interested in missions adventures, how do
Yep.
they find out about that?
That's also Mission Adventures is on our website. Nuevo Fuego is on our website. We also do run a discipleship training school. And so our next one starts in September, and you can get more information on that at our website as well.
So we will have links for those who are watching the video. We'll have links in the comments there to all of those. And for those who will listen to the podcast, there will be links in the show notes as well. And that's just a wonderful opportunity for our young people to experience what it's like to have intentional prayer for a purpose, and with people who have been doing this for a long time, so they know what they're doing. So thank you, Bri. So any other thoughts that you would like to share?
We would just be so excited to see all of you with us worshiping in the capital city.
That is awesome. So thank you, Bri and David's Tent, for taking time to squeeze us in. I know you guys are busy. So this has been the Homeschool High School podcast, brought to you by Seven Sisters Homeschool.com and the Ultimate Homeschool Podcast Network. Thank you to Seth Tillman for editing, and we will see everyone next week.